I will never get married again after what my husband did to me. I cheated on him and I thought it was over. But his revenge was so brutal that it sent me into a coma for months. My name is Lisa, and this is how I made the biggest mistake of my life. When I first met my husband, Stephen, he was everything I had ever wanted. Gentle, honest, hard-working. He loved me in ways no man ever had. He never yelled. He never got mad. We didn't have drama. We had peace. But that was not enough for me. His gentleness sometimes felt like a wall. He was so quiet, he never really shared his own feelings. He just absorbed everything. He made me feel safe, but I sometimes felt like I was living with a saint, not a person. Like I was home, but a little lonely. After a few years, life got quiet. Too quiet. We talked about bills and laundry more than dreams. I wanted to feel something exciting, something new, something that made my heart beat fast. I wanted to feel special in a loud way, not a calm way. That's when I met Danny. He was charming, fun, and reckless, the complete opposite of my husband, Stephen. My husband was a Sunday morning kind of guy. Danny was a Friday night. Danny was new at the company. He joined our department as a project assistant. My boss asked me to help him settle in, show him where files were, and explain the routines. At first, everything between us was about work. Lisa, where's this form? Can you explain this system? I answered, helped, and smiled politely. That was all. Nothing special. But Danny had this easy way of talking. He cracked small jokes during meetings, and made stressful days feel lighter. People liked him. I liked him too, though I didn't think much of it in the beginning. Work breaks turned into small chats. Small chats turned into long ones. With Danny, I felt alive again. He had this way of looking at you like you were the most interesting person in the whole world. He made me laugh until my stomach hurt. The first time we had lunch together, it was because everyone else was busy. Mind if I join you? He asked, holding his plate. Sure, I said. We ate and talked about random things. It was fun, refreshing. The next day he asked again. Then I started asking him. Soon, lunch breaks became our thing. I remember once he said, "You should laugh more, Lisa. It looks good on you." That comment stayed with me. It didn't stop at lunch. We started texting. At first, about projects. Then about songs, memes, late-night jokes. Soon, he was the first person I wanted to text in the morning and the last person I messaged at night. That was the first sign I was crossing a line. One evening, Stephen asked, "Who's making you smile like that?" I froze. "It's just a co-worker," I said quickly. That was my first lie. Small, but it opened the door. Then came the first kiss. The first kiss didn't happen in the office. It happened after drinks. A group of co-workers had gone out, but people left early until it was just the two of us. We sat close, sharing stories. He leaned in. I didn't stop him. He kissed me. Quick, gentle. I pulled back. "Danny, I'm married." "I know," he said softly. I should have ended it there, but I didn't. After that night, everything changed. At work, we acted normal, but every glance felt heavy. Every brush of his hand felt electric. We met in quiet corners, whispered things we shouldn't. Then came the day I slept with him. That afternoon, work was stressful. We both stayed late, the office quiet and half empty. Danny leaned on my desk and said, "Want to grab some air? Just talk." I should have said no. I said yes. We walked out together and ended up at a small hotel bar near the office. We ordered drinks, sat too close, and talked about everything except work. His knee brushed mine and stayed there. My heart raced. I told myself, it's just drinks. We'll go home after this. But when the rain started outside, he looked at me and said quietly, "We don't have to keep pretending." I didn't answer. I just looked back at him. And that silence was the answer. We left the bar, crossed the street, and went into the hotel. We didn't even say what we were doing. We both knew. Inside the room, I whispered, "This is wrong." He whispered, "I know." Then he kissed me, and I kissed him back. That kiss led to another, and another. We held each other tighter, not stopping this time. We both chose it, step by step, until there was no turning back. When it was over, we sat on the edge of the bed, staring at the floor, both silent. I could hear the rain outside, tapping on the window. Danny finally said, "Are you okay?" I nodded, even though I wasn't. "I have to go," I said. I went home to Stephen that night. I showered, hoping hot water would wash away the guilt. I lay next to him in bed, but my mind was still in that hotel room. That was the night everything changed. Then my husband started to suspect something. It started with my phone. One evening, I was in the shower. I'd left my phone on the counter, buzzing non-stop with messages. Stephen walked past. He said later he didn't mean to look, but the screen lit up with Danny's name. A message preview read, "I miss you already." When I stepped out, towel wrapped, he asked casually, "Danny texts you a lot, huh?" I froze, smiled, lied. "Oh, it's just work stuff. He's new. He needs help." He nodded, but something in his eyes had changed. Another time, I came home late. I'd met Danny for drinks after work. I told Stephen it was a team hangout. The truth? It was just the two of us. When I walked in, Stephen hugged me. Then he pulled back slightly. "New perfume?" he asked. I said, "No. Just the bar. Lots of people smoke." But Danny had leaned close to kiss me. His cologne was all over me. A scent Stephen didn't recognize. He didn't push it. He just said, "Okay," and went back to watching TV. The real moment came one night when I left my phone on the nightstand. Stephen was brushing his teeth. The phone buzzed. I didn't grab it in time. He picked it up, thinking it was a work call. It was Danny. The name lit up, and Stephen answered before I could stop him. "Hello," he said. On the other end, Danny's voice came fast, warm, too familiar. "Lisa, I can't stop thinking about last night." Silence. Stephen didn't shout. He didn't hang up. He waited until Danny realized it wasn't me on the line. Danny stammered. "Hung up." Stephen placed the phone on the nightstand carefully, like it was fragile glass. He looked at me. His face was calm. Too calm. "Last night," he said softly. I couldn't speak. Tears rushed before words did. I fell to my knees. "I'm sorry, Stephen. Please, I can explain. Please." He held up a hand. "No." You don't need to explain. I heard enough. I trusted you, Lisa, and you chose this." I cried harder. "Then what now? Are you going to divorce me?" I expected him to explode, to curse, to throw things, to call me every name in the book, or to pack his bags. I was ready for a huge fight. I was ready for the end. But instead, Stephen just looked at me and said, "It's fine. I forgive you." I was shocked. That was it? No questions, no shouting, no crying, just forgiveness? That word broke me more than anger ever could. He took his towel and went straight in the shower. He was humming a little tune, like nothing had happened. It was the strangest, scariest thing I had ever seen. If he had screamed, I could have fought back. If he had left, I could have begged. But Stephen's calm forgiveness felt colder than ice. It told me he wasn't done. Not really. That something deeper was brewing inside him. Later that day, I begged him to talk to me. I cried and said, "Stephen, I'm sorry. Please tell me what you're feeling. Yell at me. I deserve it. I need you to be mad. Please." But he only shrugged and told me, "Lisa, forget it. Let it go. We all make mistakes. I forgave you." How could I let it go when the guilt was crushing me? How could I just forget what I had done? It was like he was a robot. His calmness was terrifying. At night, I couldn't sleep next to him. I started sleeping on the couch. Then I moved into another room because I couldn't bear the weight of his forgiveness. I kept thinking, why isn't he angry? Was he planning something? Was he waiting for the right moment to get back at me? Or maybe he was cheating too, and that's why he didn't care. That would explain his calmness, right? It made perfect sense. I started looking for signs. I followed him after work a few times. I checked his phone when he was in the shower. I even tried to set him up with another woman just to see if he'd take the bait. I asked my best friend, Jessica, to flirt with him at a dinner party. He walked away from her. He didn't even notice her smile. Stephen never showed any sign of cheating. He went to work, spent time with his male friends, and then he came home. He just kept being a good man, and that made me hate myself even more. While my marriage felt frozen, my thing with Danny felt hot and loud. He texted me good morning with heart emojis. He asked about my day. He made jokes when I cried. With him, I felt alive again. I told myself love should feel like this. Like fireworks. Every time I was with him, I could forget about Stephen for a little while. After months of guilt, distance, and fear, I couldn't take it anymore. I thought if I just took myself out of his life, everything would feel normal again. So I divorced Stephen. It was the hardest decision of my life. I went to him one night and told him I couldn't do it anymore. I told him I wanted a divorce. I thought he would finally lose it. I thought he'd beg me to stay. But he didn't. He just looked at me for a long time, his eyes so calm, and said, "If that's what you want, Lisa, I won't stand in your way. I just want you to be happy." He didn't even argue. He didn't fight. He just let me go. After I divorced Stephen, I married Danny. It was a small wedding. A few friends, soft music, lots of smiles. For a while, I was happy. We danced in our living room. We ordered food at midnight. We kissed like teenagers. I would look at Danny, and I'd think, this is the man I'm supposed to be with. But I was wrong. I was not ready for what was coming. Life with Danny was good for a while. But a few months into our marriage, something changed. One evening, Danny came home from work and said, "Guess who I ran into today?" I asked, "Who?" He answered, "I met Stephen today." My chest tightened. "What did you two talk about?" I asked. "Relax," he replied. "It was a complete accident. He was at the coffee shop near my office. We talked for a bit. He said he holds no grudge. He is cool. We settled it like men." I pressed, "What do you mean you settled it?" He said, "Lisa, it's no big deal. We just talked. He's a good guy." He was so calm and understanding. "You know, we're going to get a beer sometime." Was this Stephen's revenge? Was he using Danny to get to me? I knew it had to be. This wasn't normal. The days kept moving and Danny and Stephen started spending time together, talking, laughing, becoming friends. Then they started to hang out more often. Coffee, basketball, a match on TV. Every time I saw them together, my stomach twisted. Soon, Danny started to change. He stopped being affectionate. He stopped making me laugh. The fun, reckless guy I married was gone. Our marriage grew cold, empty. He was just different. He'd come home and just sit on the couch and watch TV. He wouldn't hug me. He wouldn't ask me about my day. I thought he was cheating, just like I had. I checked his phone. I checked his jacket pockets. Nothing. No texts. No calls. No secret woman. No lipstick stains. Nothing. The only strange thing was his new friendship with Stephen. They'd meet up for lunch and would be gone for hours. What did they talk about? What was Stephen telling him? Was he poisoning my husband against me? My anxiety grew so big it felt like I couldn't breathe. I was constantly on edge. I was so sure this was a plan, a trap. Then came the worst day of my life. One evening, I came home earlier than usual. I had a terrible headache and just wanted to go to bed. I unlocked the front door and walked into my house. The house was quiet, and I could hear footsteps upstairs. My heart started to pound in my chest. I thought maybe someone had broken in. I slowly walked up the stairs, trying to be as quiet as possible. I stopped at the door. I could hear two people talking and laughing, and it sounded like it was coming from our bed. I thought maybe it was one of Danny's old friends. But then I heard a voice I knew. I slowly pushed the bedroom door open. I had to see. What I saw destroyed me. Stephen and Danny, in my bed, together. My heart stopped. The world went black. I fainted. I fell into a coma. I don't remember anything after that. Just darkness. When I woke up in the hospital weeks later, I was not alone in the room. My mother was by my side. I felt so weak. A nurse came in and told me I had suffered a head injury from a fall. She said my ex-husband, Stephen, was the one who found me and called the ambulance and my mother. I couldn't stop asking myself, was this Stephen's plan all along? Was this his way of breaking me completely? I told my mother everything. How I cheated on my husband. His silence, his easy forgiveness, his brutal revenge. I told her how he just took everything away from me. My marriage, my new husband, and my sanity, all without ever raising his voice. He took me down to the bottom, and I don't know if I'll ever be able to climb back up. I couldn't just get up and leave the hospital. When I was well enough, I went back to my parents' house for a few days to try and recover. But I couldn't stay there. I couldn't stay in the same city, the same country, with the memories of what happened. I needed to get away. I needed to be far, far away from everything. I never wanted to see or hear about Stephen or Danny again. I didn't even want to hear their names. So I packed up what little I had left and moved to a new country. I didn't tell anyone where I was going. I just left. I wanted a fresh start. A new life in a new place where no one knew who I was or what I had done. I wanted to forget. I wanted to be a different person. I hoped that if I just put enough distance between myself and that day, the pain would finally go away. The new country is beautiful. The people are kind, and every day is a new adventure. I'm trying to be happy. I'm trying to be better. But even with all this space, even with all this distance, I'm not sure if I'll ever be able to recover. I don't know if I'll ever be whole again. If you enjoyed this story, please share, like and subscribe. Thank you.